to you here from Thomas Fieldhouse, Lock Haven women's basketball with the 69-67 win over the fourth-ranked team in the country, Gannon. Ladies, what do you say? Let's go!
God morgon. I'm currently taking Swedish classes on Duolingo right now in the top league in the world on record. I don't mean to brag, just feel like putting that out there, but welcome back to the RPN cast hosted by me, Tyreese Smith. As previously stated in my last episode, I took time off this week to be by myself. But during my downtime, I watched a lot of great collegiate basketball this past weekend, and even the Mid-Penn has heated up as a lot of teams have over 5 games under their belt. So now we can look at standings and look at trends moving forward into the second half of the season. For this episode, I'll talk a bit more about PSAC women's basketball and the games that I've watched, and also more Mid-Penn coverage along the way. Before I begin to yap on and on about basketball, I want to give a special shout out to my guy, Steele Bayer. Steele is a soccer standout at East Pennsboro High School, most recently made his collegiate decision to attend West Virginia next year. In his senior season, he had 32 goals and 11 assists to lead the Panthers to a 13-6-1 finish, get into the District 3 playoffs, and added some accolades on top of that with PSAC, All-State, All-Region, and was named the Mid-Penn Conference Capital Division Player of the Year. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is Steele getting a mention? Well, later on in the day, he has an interview with me that will be dropping sometime around 4 or 5 o'clock whenever I feel like it. But, no, even from meeting Steele this past summer, he's a really well-rounded kid. Great mannerisms, very fluent, speaks kindly of his teammates. He's an all-around good dude who I've met, and I felt I had no choice but to align myself with someone of good character and invite him to the brand, really. But no, I just want to shout out Steele real quick. Throughout the interview process, he's been very patient with me, knowing I have a busy schedule and I can't be in line with everything all at once. But he's answered questions thoroughly. He's talked a bit more about his career and kind of looking at the future, not just collegiately, but looking towards more of his professional career when he's on the real world and having aspirations until then. But no, shout out to Steele for all that he's done, and much success to the young man. But now let's get into the basketball part. Let's just get into it. I don't want to waste y'all time. This past weekend, I enjoyed some college basketball from the crib. More specifically, women's basketball at the Division II level. This is no sponsorship ad by any means, but shout out to PSAC Sports Digital Network. A very great, free, enjoyable experience. I enjoy using the platform a lot to keep up with friends and players who I knew from back in the day. But I seen 2 different games and experience in both Lock Haven versus Gannon, Shippensburg versus Clarion, women's basketball. You can say that I didn't waste my time at all this past weekend. The Lock Haven game, it's pretty interesting when you look at it because Lock Haven lost to Gannon last year in the PSAC Conference Championship by a little. Now, while Gannon was coming into this game at 13-1 and 5-0 in the conference, not to mention they are the 4th ranked team in the country of all of Division II, some like to call it an upset, but to me, I had full faith that Lock Haven could win this one. You know, they're very well coached, a physical team who runs a lot of things through the post or getting downhill before settling for a jump shot. You could say they played really old school in a way. But also, having returners back in Jen Smith's crew from Janadia Jordan, local kid from York, Elena Robinson from Jersey, Maddie Evans from Bloomsburg area, Rylan Rouse, another local kid from York, Sydney Lear, who went to Hollidaysburg. You know, I've covered Altoona previously, and Altoona, Hollidaysburg, they clash. Adding in 2 transfers, Kiera Bogman, another local kid who went to Donegal, wasn't a 1,000-point scorer at Donegal. She comes from IUP, got her 1,000 points at IUP, and is now spending her grad year at Lock Haven. And adding in Seton Hill transfer, Nufi Naimale, it wasn't a rebuild, more so a reload. And they were a pretty young team last year, so they ain't even lose nothing for real. But getting back to topic, Lock Haven stood on business. They came up with the 69-67 victory over Gannon and proved that they can hang with anybody in the country. Now, I know it's just one win against a nationally ranked team, and they definitely made up for this with the losses to IUP Edinburgh. But this was a great way for Lock Haven to prove themselves, especially within this, I would like to say, the 1/3 part of the season. That November, December, the beginning where you're trying to fill your team out, trying to establish chemistry and rack up those non-conference wins. In this case, Lock Haven stood on business and now go into January at 8-3 and 3-2. Even looking at the box score from the game, just to throw some stats in there, shall we? Maddie Evans led with 17 points and 9 rebounds. Kiera Bogman led with 12 points. Rylan Rouse came up big, 12 points, 8 rebounds, and clinched the 2 free throws at the end to put Lock Haven ahead by 2 points, 69-67 in this case. Elena Robinson, 12 points, 5 rebounds. She is, I would like to call it the block queen in a way. She sends a lot of shots. She actually leads the program in all-time blocks, and she's only a junior now, which is highly impressive. And then Janadia had 10 points and 6 rebounds as well, coming in clutch towards the end. And also like to mention Nufi's 3 at the beginning of the 4th quarter was huge, and I remember the gym just went crazy even just from seeing it in the background. But, you know, Lock Haven stood on business and got 5 people into double figures. But also, again, we cannot undermine Gannon. And even seeing Bree Claxton hoop, like, she's tough, bro. Now, again, the 3 turnovers, yeah, stats don't lie. But again, she led the game, 17 points, 5 rebounds. Maddie Wheatley, 12 points, 5 rebounds. Excuse me. Jordan Popick, 10 points, 7 rebounds. Kate Ratliff also had 9. I heard her name a lot on when they were playing Shippensburg on the broadcast. And then also Trinity Harris. I actually love her game. I've seen her a few times last year too. But very shifty guard, gets wherever she needs to. But she also provided 5 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists within the game as well. But Lock Haven, they locked down on defense. I mean, lock is in their name. But no, seriously, I think it was a great contest between both teams. And there's still a lot of season left to go. So if they see each other again in a conference championship, I would not be surprised at all. But, shout out to both Lock Haven and Gannon for their early season success, and best of luck to them. Now, moving on to the Shippensburg and Clarion game. And it's crazy because both of these teams have interesting cases. Ship returns 90% of their roster from last year. In this case, I like to call them the Big Three, with Bella Camienti, local kid, went to Central York. Alexis Bowie, local kid, went to Cedar Cliff, was a part of that historical 2023 team. And Mia Johnson from Maryland. And Turn has given that sophomore class the go, as they've had to take on a lot of responsibilities within the first 2 years. Also add in seniors, Tasia Colbert, local kid, went to Bishop McDevitt. Abby Miller, local kid, went to Cumberland Valley. And a junior, Michaela Verdrell from Virginia. Some freshmen that was able to choose Shippensburg as their collegiate destination. Abby Johns, Michelle Olak. Michelle she's from Canada, but attended the Westtown School, where my girls, Olivia Jones and Viana Kanya Watson, are both seniors at now. They were all on the squad last year, a really equipped Westtown team. Got to see them a few times throughout the year, but Westtown is a very tight program, and getting that experience of coming from Canada to a program like Westtown, Michelle is relied on, of course, when she's healthy and on the court, is relied on upon turn early to get the job done, as she's shown some flashes within the low post and has expanded her game a bit, even for being a freshman. And then adding in Riley Kraft, Lancaster Catholic standout. Lancaster Catholic, they won the 3A title last year, beating Westmont Hilltop when Christiana Gordon was there as a junior. She's now at Spire Institute, but also played with CPE, Central PA Elite, and the Thomas family when Riley did her AAU in high school. And then Clarion's case, looking at it from the other side, they are a laughing stock in the West. They've turned it around this year, especially coming into this game at 10-2, 4-1 in the PSAC. They were always a bottom three team from what I've seen, and again, the data doesn't lie. But no, they've turned it around this year and are, putting people on notice. Especially, West play hasn't begun directly yet, but getting out to 10-1 before Saturday's game helps having at least those 10 wins under your belt. But seeing a majority of the second half and it going into overtime, it was pretty close throughout. Clarion had a 15-point lead at one point, but Ship just fought back, especially within the fourth quarter. And, the Raiders came out with a 94-84 win in overtime. And it was a pretty hard-fought battle. And Ship, again, they've been battling injuries throughout this year, but it's no excuse. You have to learn how to adjust, and people have to step up, period. But they went on a surge late, got 2 free throws from Tasia Colbert to head into overtime, and then just finish out the rest of the night. Even looking at the box score, Bella Camienti, mind you, straight hooper. When she's playing really confident and doesn't overthink, she can do anything she puts her mind to. But Bella had 24 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. The turnovers don't look pretty, but a win is a win. Abby Johns, freshman, 17 points. Tasia, 15 points, and the 2 clutch free throws to help seal the game to head into overtime. and finish it out. Mia Johnson is back, but she had 13 points. Bowie has shown up. She just got from a lower leg injury, but had 8 points, 6 rebounds. And Abby Miller, again, only 7 points, but again, 14 rebounds is enough to make a statement and get a win. But Ship goes into January at 4-6 overall, 2-3 in the PSAC. But looking at the East Division this year, if Ship cleans up and takes advantage of the momentum from this Clarion game, but also remembers their mistakes, again, the ones they made against Gannon, Seton Hill, and even the San Antonio trip, I believe they can get back into the playoff hunt, get great seeding, and just continue to enjoy the ride. Because the thing is, though, a lot of them come back next year. So this experiment, this project isn't done anytime soon. And coaches can only tell you so much. But Ship really has to believe in themselves that they can hang with anybody and to just play with a toughness. From my viewing experience, Shippensburg has always relied on toughness. No matter who was there or who came through the program, they always had a toughness, and that's what people in the PSAC recognized, right? But again, if Ship just plays with each other, they play with a toughness on defense and cut down turnovers, I believe they can be back in the hunt. But time will tell. Let's move on to the Mid-Penn standings and talk a bit more about local high school basketball. Now, being a month into the season, as some people played a day after Thanksgiving, it's insane. I know, right? But being a month into the season, we can now start to put together some standings, look at some trends, who's hot versus who's not, and kind of go deeper into predictions for the future, as now 1/3 or close to a half of the season is officially completed. Looking at the Commonwealth Division, CD stands out with 6-1, 3-1 within the Commonwealth Division. Some strong wins, quality wins that they've had so far. Archbishop Ryan out of the Philadelphia Catholic League, PCL. They also have beaten Carlisle in a close contest, Chambersburg in a close contest, and then rang it up on Muhlenberg they actually had 90 points that game at the beginning of the season, and they're sitting at 3rd in District 3, 6A right now. Chambersburg sits at 4-1, 3-1 within the division, and have had some strong wins over York Suburban and Cumberland Valley. Also, them losing the city in a close contest, things happen early, but the beauty of a basketball season is that teams get to see each other twice. Once at home, once on the road. So look out for that one. But the Trojans sit at 6 in the D3 rankings. Cumberland Valley, they've gone out to a bit of a stagnant start. I wouldn't say a stagnant start, 6-2, 6-2, but drop into Berks Catholic and Kingston McCoy early on in the season, first game, then losing a nail biter to Chambersburg, in which I think they low-key should have finished out. Took advantage of, J.J. Kelly being fouled out, but they lost a close one there as well, but have recently come off great wins against Central Dauphin and Abington, right? Yes, Abington, just making sure. But they also have some strong wins against Carlisle, another victory in the rivalry, and also beating CD this past week. The Eagles sit at 9th in the District 3 rankings. Now, Carlisle 5-2 and 2-2 within the division. They have some wins Susquehanna Township, Altoona, but I feel like Carlisle has to do a lot more for me to be convinced. Right. I mean, Parker Smith has been getting busy, and Tyler Rural has been putting up good numbers throughout the season, but, taking hits to Cumberland Valley, who I'm pretty sure they have not beat in 6 years, once again, and then losing a nail-biter to CD, they have to learn how to finish out games. And with Jaden Smith gone, that hurts as well in terms of a leadership standpoint, and adding in those 15, 18 points per game, which would be of help towards Parker and Tyler Rural. But, Carlisle has to really go into the second half of the season and making people respect them again. The crash out happened last year in District 3 playoffs. We all know about it, but again, Carlisle, they have to get their stuff right. So sitting at 11th in the District 3 rankings is good enough for now, but I believe that they have to do a lot more and put more work in. And then you see the bottom half of the division: State College 4-2, 2-2, Harrisburg 2-4, 2-2, East 2-6, 0-4. Altoona 1-6, 1-3. Harrisburg has been competitive so far. Looking at it, as they've beaten State College recently, and then lost to a nail biter at the Hannah in overtime against the Indians. 4A and a 6A. It's one of those trap games. It's always risky, but if the city wants it, the city wants it. being locally here myself, but Harrisburg has been competitive, but they just cannot seem to win when it matters. And then, East and Altoona, I'm not really surprised, but again, it's going to be a 4-team race between CD, Chambersburg, and CV. And Carlisle could sneak up in there, but realistically it might be like a 3-4 team race, but we'll see as the season goes on. But let's just move on to the Colonial. So everybody's favorite division, the MPC Colonial. Even my guy Cole Turn would tell you that the Colonial is one of the hottest things on the market. But when I mean hot in this case, it is realistically a 2-team race. As we see from the standings or how the outlook looks right now, Middletown 5-1 record, 4-0 in the division. They just came off from a statement win against East Pennsboro. Both of them were in the capital. Now they're rejects, and they have been moved to the Colonial. But, they came off a quality win against East Penn, and they've also beaten McDevitt this past Saturday as well. And the Blue Raiders are sitting at 4th in 5A as they're a new member of Class 5A this year. East Pennsboro 7-2, 3-1 in the division. They have a quality win against Lower Dolphin. In terms of quality in this case, to explain it thoroughly, when I think of strength of schedule and quality wins, I'm someone who believes in playing good opponents. Like when you're in your division, like you can't help it. Like whoever's on your schedule, is ever on your schedule within the division, but with how you schedule outside of it, I believe matters towards the district power rankings, but also having the respect of people around you. Having a cupcake schedule, in my eyes, it's not convincing to me, right? As someone who's competitive, I'm like, I don't want to watch a boring game. Or if you're beating a whole bunch of nobodies and pounding your chest about it, I just cannot respect that. But no, East Penn, I would say LD is their strongest win by far. If they would have gotten Middletown the first time with a dub, then I would have included that. But so far, it's been LD, and the Panthers are sitting at 6 in the 5A rankings. Waynesboro has gone off to a better start compared to last year. They haven't played anybody tough, but again, 4-2, 3-1 in the division. 4-2 is still 4-2 at the end of the day. They're sitting at 13 right now in the 6A power rankings. Moving on to Northern, 4-2, 3-1. Again, haven't really played anybody, but they have an 11th seed right now in the 5A rankings. West Perry covered a lot, especially on the Sentinel side, as they love my guy Christian. But no, seriously, the Mustangs 5-3 on the season, 2-3 within the Colonial. Haven't played anybody, but they're trying to put some pieces together and at least be competitive to a standard. Definitely more of a football school from what I've seen, but regardless, the basketball program is sitting at 15th right now in the 5A power rankings. Greencastle dipped off a bit. They graduated a heavy senior class last year and are now in rebuild mode. Sitting at 2-4 on the season, 1-3 in the division. I would give them Waynesboro as a quality win, just due to it being a rivalry and Waynesboro being 4-2 ahead of them. If Waynesboro cracks into the 6A playoffs, it would look like a quality win on their part. If they don't, then it's not going to matter, in my opinion. But as of right now, they are not looking playoff eligible. Same thing happened with Gettysburg. They lost a very heavy senior class. Josh Herr went on to the collegiate level, but the Warriors are sitting at 2-5 overall, 1-3 in the division. Haven't played anybody and are not playoff eligible as of right now. And then Ship, 0-8, 0-4. They've just been slaughtered the whole season. Hopefully I can say that. FCC, but they're not a very good team. Let's move on to the Keystone Division. Moving on to the Keystone Division, it's pretty lively with coverage all season around, but even tapping into it as well. Hershey sits atop at 6-0 and 4-0. Some of their stronger wins have been Mechanicsburg, first round of the season, Lampeter Stroudsburg and LD in the rivalry, and the Trojans sit at number 1 in District 3 5A. Everybody is surprised. I had faith. Milton Hershey sits at 6-0 and 4-0 within the Keystone, and some stronger wins against Bishop McDevitt and Lower Dolphin so far. They're playing a lot of great ball. They looked more together as a team, especially the sophomores, Abdul Dien and Dylan Crawford, also adding Khalif as well, and Ari, the senior, the Indian kid. They've looked really solid together in this early part of the season. Again, I've seen them work throughout the off season. I believe they were going to be a lot better. I didn't know if they were going to be in a great team, but 6-0 heading into their winter break, and once they return back for their second half of their academic year, the spring semester, hopefully they can remain on the same page as everybody else is playing over the winter break. But the Spartans are in a good place. MHS is sitting at 3rd in 5A right now, and I'm just hoping they can keep it up, but arise to the challenges ahead of them, as again, they still have to take on Mechanicsburg and Hershey at that, but again, we'll see what they're able to do later on. Mechanicsburg, I have not been totally impressed by the Wildcats so far. I believe they're playing down to competition. It's like no real enthusiasm, and they're just kind of going through emotions, winning games by a little bit on people that they're supposed to roll over, especially coming off the season they did last year, having that district title the first time in 20 plus something years, And again, bringing back, again, Josh Smith going to Princeton, Shantinowski, West Virginia Wesleyan. Regardless, Gaffey and them are still 6-1 and 3-1 within the division. They took the hit to Hershey. Hershey beat them out by 11. And their strongest win so far, from what I've seen, is Eastern York. Again, they returned Carter Wemsley, who was committed to Gannon. But they only beat East by 6, Cedar Cliff by 4, and CC, again, is a personal game for Kevin Rutherford, who was the head coach at Mechanicsburg 3 years ago, and then Gaffey came on. But again, you're only beating Cedar Cliff by 4 points, and CC didn't pick up their first win until a team like Dover this past weekend. Like, I don't know what's going on over there, but hopefully this New York trip can help them get back on the same page with each other going into the second half of the season. But moving up to 6A, the Wildcats are sitting 7th right now, but playing within the Keystone and playing 5A schools and such, like, they have to stay on their toes to be able to hang within the rankings, as, you know, anything can happen in 6A. So if I'm them, regroup, come back from New York, and just play mech ball. I don't know if mech ball is a term, but no, seriously, like, get it together. But moving on, Lower Dolphins sitting at 3-3, 2-2. They don't have a strong win so far from what I've seen, but they are sitting on the edge at 14th in the 5A rankings. Lower Dolphin has been more of a head case these last couple of years compared to the old Falcons teams, but that's for another day. But let's like sitting. Okay, if you're playoff eligible, you're playoff eligible. But yeah, LD, I don't know what to say, man. There's different opinions on that one. Moving on, Mifflin County. 4-4, 1-3 within the Keystone. They've picked up some good wins against teams outside of the Mid-Penn. Montoursville, their Williamsport, and Mifflinburg. Montours and Mifflinburg, they're both competitive within the Heartland Conference, from my knowledge. But picking up those 2 wins, they're pretty well, pretty good, you know, for the Huskies. And they're sitting at 2 right now in the District 6 6A rankings. Now, District 6 also takes the 2 best teams, or sometimes if there's like a tiebreaker or so between second and third, then they'll play like a semifinal and then a championship game. But even if they keep at an even record, but somewhat in the middle of the Keystone, or maybe at the bottom, at that, they'll still play State College for a District 6 title. So yeah, it may sound nutty, but it is what it is. They can't help themselves or whatever District 6 does. But another team that has fallen off through the years, Palmyra is 2-4 overall, 1-3 in the division. They've not played a tough schedule, and they're out of the playoffs right now. Redland, who lost a lot last year, you know, Elijah Espinoza, Penn Live's 2024 Defensive Player of the Year. He's off at Mount St. Mary's now. Anderson French has moved on to the collegiate level to play Division I baseball. They had a squad these last 2 years. I thought they were a little better 2 years ago. Last year, they were still good enough to get in the playoffs, but then crashed out super bad against Warwick in the first round of 5A play within districts. But yeah, this year it's not looking too good. I mean, they're 2-6, 1-3, not in the playoffs right now, but anything can change. But to their West Shore neighbor, Cedar Cliff, 1-7, 0-4, just picked up their first win on the season this weekend against Dover. No quality wins. They're not in the playoffs right now. But let's move to what I like to call the AFC North of Mid-Penn basketball within the Capital Division. Now, looking at the Capital Division, one of the two divisions that were realigned this past offseason, Trinity is in control. They sit at 7-2 overall, 4-0 within the division, having quality wins in their record against York Suburban, Bishop McDevitt, Susquehanna Township, on terms of Susquehanna being somewhat competitive again, to give teams hard times, but whatever the results say or whatever the results. And then also add in York Catholic. And York Catholic, again, my guy Jake Dallas plays for them. They always find some way in the playoffs, no matter who they have. But Trinity sits at 2 behind Lancaster Mennonite within the 3A power rankings. Next, Big Spring, the new addition to the Capital. They are at 6-1 on the season, 3-1 on the division. Some quality wins they have so far. They made a statement against Susquehanna Township, and also beat Wild Missing, who is in good standings right now within the 4A rankings. I also want to mention Big Spring losing to Stilton early enough, and if that was a rude awakening for the Bulldogs to like, yeah, this ain't the Colonial no more, you have to stay on your toes, anybody can catch you, then hopefully that worked out and best to them. But the Bulldogs are sitting at 3 in the 4A power rankings, and they're primed for the second half of the season. Next, Boiling Springs, they sit at 7-2, 2-2. They have not let up on any momentum from last season, getting people back. No strong wins so far, but again, they still have to play Trinity and Big Spring. The rivalry was still played out last year between Boiling Springs and Big Spring, but with them both being back in the same division, that's entertainment on whatever given night that they play in. So hopefully I'll be able to stop by down there on South 81, but the Bubblers sit at 4th right now in the 4A rankings. Bishop McDevitt, they're at 500 as they took a hit to Middletown on Saturday. Demir Arp has been electric. Max Henderson has been of great help as well. He's gotten a lot better throughout this last couple of years, but there's just something about McDevitt that it's just like questionable. You know, they have so much talent on that team, and then they're very young at that, but they just can't play a full game, you know. Like, McDevitt, they need to, I don't know what they have to do to figure it out. Again, I mean, Demir is putting on, Max is playing at a very good pace and is of help, but, and even the Patrick kid has been really solid as well. But yeah, I don't know what McDevitt needs to do, but they're sitting at 7th right now in 4A, and they have the strong wins over Boiling Springs and then Stilton. But yeah, McDevitt, I don't know. I still haven't really figured that team out yet and what their identity is, and maybe they need to work on their identity, but they can be solid later on if they get it together, but I wouldn't write them off early, if that makes sense. Moving down to Susquehanna Township, the Hannah sitting at 4-4, 2-3. They have a strong win over Chichester. They most recently beat Harrisburg on this past Saturday night, but again, losing to Stilton the day before. And looking at both teams, I don't know how you lose to Stilton. But again, they're competitive now. Like, they're at least in games. They're just not finishing them, right? And, you know, they're not playoff eligible right now. They may be able to sneak in, but again, you have to be able to finish games and win if you want people to start respecting you again, knowing their history, right? But we'll see what they do in the second half of the season. Moving on to Stilton. Right now, Stilton High Spire. It's kind of crazy. Like, everyone in Harrisburg, we just call them Stilton. But outsiders say Stilton High Spire or say Still High. And it's kind of crazy because, like, I've never once in my lifetime called them Still High. Like, I get it, it's their school name, but, like, I just call them Stilton, bro. Like, I don't... I guess people have different sayings for things, but trying to stay on topic. Stilton is one of those teams where it's like, I don't see a lot of talent. Like, yeah, they have Cash Magnus and Tristan Crawford, but they've just gotten people. Like, that's like a trap game to people this year. They've gotten wins against Berlin Springs, Big Spring, and the Hannah this past weekend, and I'm like, Stilton's not even playoff eligible within 2A, but they're winning some very good games on the low, and it's like, it's not being talked about a lot. But this is why I'm bringing it up here. But yeah, they're sitting at 3-2, 3-1, so if they keep getting people like this, they can at least sneak into the 2A playoffs, but we'll see as time goes on. James Buchanan, 1-6, 0-5. I don't know why James Buchanan got swapped to the Capital Division. Like, that's a long bus ride for everybody now within the Capital. Like, why would you want to go to Mercersburg on a school night, bro? Like, I don't mean to sound like an a-hole about it, but, like, why did they switch James Buchanan to the Capital? Like, they're the most closest to the Colonial, and they've always been in the Colonial to my knowledge, but... And even in the Colonial, that's still a bus ride for everybody, but, like, where else are they supposed to go? Like, I'm surprised they're even in the Mid-Penn. Like, they're far up north, bro. But James Buchanan, 1-6, 0-5 in the division, not playoff eligible. And then Camp Hill, the Lions, 0-5 overall. It's just not good basketball, bro. That's all I can say. But they are not playoff eligible. So that's the 4 divisions. On the boys' side, let's talk a bit more about girls basketball and what's going on over there. Moving to the girls' ranks of the Mid-Penn Conference, looking atop of the Commonwealth Division, Central Dauphin, they're playing really great team ball right now. They are undefeated at 7-0, 4-0 within the division. I've noticed a lot of CD teams back in the day always had a star or two. I believe this year it really has been a team effort in terms of where there isn't just one star, as everyone has their roles and their pieces. And the Rams have always worked that way, but this year feels like they're really connecting well as a team. But having standouts such as Michaela Matinchek, who leads the Rams at 11 points per game, big sophomore around the 6'2", 6'3" range. Olivia Green, who's a returner, has varsity experience now, 10 points a game, getting production from Sam Semberot, Kiana Taylor, Maya Dickerson, who's going to Mansfield, who comes from McDevitt, originally a CD kid, even Sincere Matthews as a point. They've really done it this year from a team standpoint, and no matter who's leading one game, a dub is a dub, right? And they've took care of business early on, having some quality wins against Lancaster Catholic and Cumberland Valley, and sit second right now in the District 3 power rankings within 6A. Second, as of right now, State College is second. Yes, it's a surprise, but again, it is still early, but also with them beating Altoona 43-40 a couple of weeks ago has helped them taking that early rivalry win. But the strongest win so far has been Altoona. They still have to square off with CD and Cumberland Valley, but the Wilson twins have been leading the way from what I've been hearing. Is they've been going crazy. They both have offers as well. Pull that up here. But yeah, I mean, looking at the Twins, you have Cherie and Sienna Wilson. They were both offered by St. Francis this year. Yeah, St. Francis has been really connected within the state so far. But yeah, Cherie and Sienna are now leading the show for the Little Lions. And yeah, they're sitting at 7-1, 4-0, and right now number 1 within District 6. So yeah, State College can continue at this route. I don't know if they will win the division, but they can still be pretty competitive and give Altoona a run for their money again. But even speaking of the other cats within the Mountain Lions, Altoona now 6-2, 3-1 on the season. They've took some early hits to South Fayette, and Altoona has also lost to State College in the rivalry. State College, but they have enough strong wins over North Allegheny, Mount Lebanon, and their rival Hollidaysburg, and even seeing them against East a couple of weeks ago. They're still the same. Altoona, small ball, really tough. They play hard on both sides of the ball and really well coached by Chris Flegel. And yeah, the Mount Lions are sitting at 2nd right now in District 6. Cumberland Valley, 4-4, 2-2 within the division. It's a team yet I've still haven't figured out this year from seeing it. I know they've missed some players due to soccer responsibilities and have been short-handed in that department, but losing to Carlisle a few weeks ago, I get it, some people were not playing, but at the same time, you don't lose to Carlisle, bro. Like, and the thing is that the Herd went online and celebrated about it. It's been 15 years. Oh my God, I'm happy. It was their district championship. I get it. I understand. Not to be an a-hole about it, but at the same time, yeah, you're not supposed to lose a Carlisle at CV. Like, look, whatever's going on with the coaches or game playing in general, they've took some hits this year, and it's not just even Carlisle, but again, getting waxed by Dallastown, Red Lion, and Red Lion's been waxing everybody in the YA this season. They really have been opening eyes behind the Sadora sisters, but yeah, CV has no quality wins so far, but they're sitting at 11th right now in District 3, so hopefully they can get it together. It doesn't get any easier as they still have to face Altoona coming up, and they also have Central York. Hopefully Olivia McCaskill is back by then, which could change things drastically for the Panthers. And they have Parkland too, mid-January. So yeah, it doesn't get any easier for CV, but just pray they can get it together. And then the bottom half of the Commonwealth, Chambersburg 2-4, 2-2, East 3-6, 1-3, Carlisle 2-4, 1-3. Carlisle got that quality win over Cumberland Valley. Then Harrisburg hasn't won a game yet. Those 4 bottom half teams aren't playoff eligible right now. Just hoping the best for them. But let's move on to the 2-team Colonial. That's a joke, by the way. We'll talk about all 8 teams, but let's move on to the Colonial Division. So moving on to the Colonial Division, looking at the data. So right now, Northern sits atop. Northern and Middletown are both 8-0 in the season, but Northern has an extra league game on hands, so they have taken the top position. Quality win so far has been Greencastle, only because they go back and forth with each other every year these last couple of years. But besides that, their schedule's not that strong. regardless, they're sitting at second in 5A right now, getting a lot of production from JMU's Anna Lehman, Abby Freese, who's translated from soccer to basketball. Central Michigan commit has done a great job so far as well, and Taylor Townsend is back from soccer, so best of luck to the Polar Bears moving forward. Middletown, behind Jayla Kosher and Emma Cleland, unstoppable. You cannot just not guard one and forget about the other, but most teams will figure it out later in the season. So far, 8-0, 4-0 in the division. Quality wins against Greencastle and Bishop McDevitt, and they're sitting atop of the 5A rankings right now. Greencastle, 4-4, 3-2. Haley Noblet just graduated, is off in college, but they're pretty young and trying to figure it out. But the Blue Devils sit at 14th right now in the 5A rankings. Gettysburg, 4-4, 1-3. They're sitting on the edge of the 5A district rankings at 16th. Waynesboro, 2-5, 1-3 in the division. West Perry, 3-5, 2-4. Ship, 2-5, 1-4. And East Penn, 1-6, 1-4. That bottom half is not playoff eligible. It's clearly looking like Northern and Middletown. So that'll be a pretty interesting race to see who goes on the Mid-Penns later on. But yeah, that can get pretty interesting this year within the 5A bracket too. So we'll see how that plays out. But for now, let's move on. Looking at the Keystone Division, Mechanicsburg has picked it up a bit more. Lauren Lebo is now back and again trying to run the offense through the three of Elena Sweet, Macy Yanoski, and Lauren Lebo. Cats are still undefeated, 7-0, 4-0 within the Keystone. Quality wins against Cedar Cliff and Palmyra, and they sit at 1 right now in 6A. Now, will that 1 seed stick? That's another question, but for right now, 7-0 is 7-0. And they have an interesting matchup with Cumberland Valley later today, so we'll see how that sticks. But that might be a great game coming up if you want to keep your eyes on that one. Moving on to Lower Dolphin, definitely a way better start from the Falcons compared to a year ago. But 6-1, 4-0 within the division. Quality wins over Cedar Cliff and Palmyra, and they're sitting at 5 right now in 5A. Cedar Cliff starting to find the groove. 2 years removed from that historical season, but they're now starting to understand the newer system a bit better. 3-2 on the season, 2-2 within the division. A quality win over Palmyra. Yeah, everyone has a quality win over Palmyra right now. But they're sitting at 10 right now in 6A within great standing. Redland, 4-3, 2-2. No quality wins as of right now, but they're sitting at 12 within the 5A rankings. Mifflin County, 2-5, 2-2. The distant cousin within the Keystone Division, and everyone having to drive an hour just to go play them. They have a quality win over Redland right now, but they're sitting at 3rd within 6A, as they are a member of District 6. Palmyra, thought it was going to get off to a better start. John Polly resigned like middle of the season. From what I've been told, it must be bad. I've heard it was parents. I'm not sure, but yeah, Polly is gone. They have an interim, but sitting at 3-3 on the season, 1-3 in the division. They do have a good win over Berks Catholic, who's usually competitive in the Berks League. But the Cougars still sit at 13th within 5A. Milton Hershey lost a good senior group from last year. who've had experience, so they're now in a bit more of a rebuild, sitting at 2-5, 1-4 within the division, not playoff eligible as of right now. And then Hershey, 1-5, 0-4, not playoff eligible. Yeah, they've never really been that great in recent memory, but they're still holding on. Let's talk about the Capital Division. So, I want to start off the Capital Division and saying that this is kind of what I had predicted so far. Not Boiling Springs being first as of right now, but Molly Kimmel has been taking heads. And for those who knew, I put out her project months ago, and talking to her, passing on, again, some game to her, some advice for the future, trying to get her prepped up for college as she has aspirations to play at the next level. Yeah, she's been having a really, really good season so far. I mean, there's been games of 17, 19, 18, has led Boiling Springs to 8-0 to start the season. But to even Susquehanna being ahead of McDevitt, yeah, I could have seen that as well, regardless of all their problems. But Trinity having a resurgence and people taking them seriously again, I love that as well. But talking a bit more about the division, the Bubblers to the top right now, 8-0, 5-0, a game ahead of Trinity. The quality win so far has come from Bishop McDevitt, and they're sitting at number 1 right now within the 4A power rankings. Trinity, 6-2, 4-0 in the season. They've been playing a lot of good quality ball from what I've seen. Again, Emma Kostelak is back. Ashley Burkheimer starting to find herself in the program. Bella Dupes has been having a very good season as well. And everyone has been playing up to their role and to their potential as the Shamrocks have been handling business. Getting quality wins over Twin Valley and McDevitt. The Shamrocks sit at number 1 right now in 3A. They took a hit to Lock Haven commit Mariah Shue, who's going to school with my homie Lacey Kribel next year at LHU. They took a hit to York Catholic this past weekend, but they'll be fine. It's nothing to panic about. I know the Trinity faithful tends to panic whenever it's just like something like midseason or so, but stay calm. They are okay, and you should still have faith in Trinity moving forward. Big Spring, 5-3, 3-1. Don't really have a quality win so far, but they're sitting at 10th right now in 4A. Susquehanna Township has changed it around. They're coming off 3 straight, getting dubs against Stilton, Columbia, especially Columbia. I mean, they've lost everybody, but again, still beating out Columbia, who's been competitive these last couple of years, still means something. No quality wins as of lately, but they're still holding on. They may sneak in to 4A if they clean up a bit, but again, you never really know what's going on over there. You don't know, but I think they could still be competitive enough, but we'll see as the season goes on. Mission McDevitt at 500 to 3-3, 3-2 within the division. Not great. Watching them against Trinity, I wasn't impressed. And then also taking a hit to Middletown. They know each other, but still, like they're just not a good team right now, in my opinion. No quality wins either. But the Crusaders are still sitting at 8th right now in the 4A rankings. I know Susquehanna will see them soon. I think Susquehanna can knock that off and get back in the hunt. But we'll see as the season goes on. Then other teams within the division, James Buchanan, the newbies, 1-7, 1-5 on the season. Camp Hill, 4-4, 0-4 in the division. Still in High Spire, 1-7, 0-4. Yeah, this is gonna look like a battle between Trinity and Boiling Springs. That the Hannah and Big Spring might hold on to at least give teams a run for their money. But right now, it's looking like Trinity and Boiling Springs will battle out for this division. Again, these are only predictions. It's an analysis of how I see it. But, the season is still very alive. We still have a second half to go. Teams can pick up momentum, and some teams might look fraudulent. But, things will play out. I believe so. As long as people are taking care of business, what's done in the dark comes out to light. You never know. Next week might look a little different as we're now in the holiday break. Some teams will get some burn within the holiday break with having tournaments or games. Some will just be practicing. I might drop a new idea in or some new content. We'll still have to decide. But to keep up on all things RPN Cast, episodes are on YouTube and Spotify. To follow coverage of the RPN Factory, Instagram at MyRPNLife, Twitter at Reese John, Reese JAWN. Gotta say it together, Reese John. And then my site, as I always have some things on there as well, and looking to incorporate a lot of other sports soonly enough. So again, if y'all know anybody right now between soccer, track and field, or if they're special in other areas I may not be as familiar with, I'm always ready to take on a new challenge. So don't be afraid to message me about anything new. But besides the point, thank you guys for all the support. I appreciate all the messages and love I've been getting on releasing new episodes within this podcast. But no, seriously, I do appreciate all the support, as it makes me feel really great inside. But happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, New Year's, whichever you guys celebrate. But again, thank you guys for everything, and I'll catch y'all soon enough.